Do you remember gaming while broke?
Because I do. Waiting for birthdays to get that one game you've waited months for.
Walking through GameStop, trying to decide whether you should get that one game that's on sale or those two games that are old and pre-owned.
Beating a game on a Saturday and then starting it up again on Sunday for the third time because it was one of the few games you owned.
We look at these times fondly because we didn't know any better. We were just happy with what we had as a kid. But at the end of the day, these gaming experiences are a luxury, not a necessity. Our parents had to work multiple jobs just to get us a little taste of these experiences.
My parents had to budget and save every penny they could find to get me and my siblings Nintendo consoles and games, so we had something to do while they were very hard at work and we were home alone after school.
So to some degree, the gaming industry understood this struggle. The price was standardized, and they needed to earn our dollar. So what is this? It all started with Nintendo, whom decided to release the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 at $449.99. But while $399 would have been the perfect sweet spot, we kind of gave them grace. There were tariffs in play, and new tech always seems to cost more than we want. Wait, what is this? Wait, what is that? This can't be real. This can't be real. This isn't funny. Whoever did this isn't funny. This was the start. The true start to larger gaming corporations starting to squeeze us. We didn't know it yet because there were a lot of people out there, like myself, who were still coping, still believing that maybe it was the perfect time for Xbox to come in and undercut the competition. They had just released Oblivion Remastered at $50. This was a clear sign they were gearing up to win back this generation and go. Raising prices is one thing, but shadow dropping the price increases of your consoles and accessories the same day as the news? Now that's some next level bullshit. Xbox really has some cojones to do that right now when the only thing of value that they have to offer is Game Pass. And it's starting to make sense, isn't it? They want to squeeze us until we all join the best value in gaming. For now, every one of these big companies and publishers are going to start following suit. They blame it on tariffs. They blame it on the cost it takes to produce a game. They blame it on the economy because they are struggling oh so badly. But when the economic struggles start settling in, it's the common person who will feel the impact the most. Not Nintendo, who made one of the best-selling consoles of all time, or Xbox, which has millions of Game Pass subscribers and seems to be able to buy companies worth billions of dollars on a moment's notice, then lay off the whole studio like Tango Gameworks for fun. Or even Sony, who's been awfully quiet so far, but I'm sure we'll join in on the price gouging soon enough. Gaming is a luxury, not a necessity. Do we need a reminder of how all this goes down? Back in the early 90s and 80s, games did indeed cost $60, $70, $80, even $90. Prices didn't become standardized till Sony came into the space with the PlayStation 1. They used their lower priced games as a competitive advantage in a crowded marketplace. Shout out to the GOAT Maximilian Dude as always for sharing his perspective, as I did not live through this period of gaming history. I have the related video linked down below in the description. But do you see the correlation here? Gaming has become the largest entertainment industry because it was made more affordable, allowing more people to experience it and become a fan of the art. Every time you lower the barrier to entry, more people join in. With standardized pricing, more people jumped in. With free-to-play multiplayer games, more people joined in. With free-to-play ad-based mobile games, more people joined in. Even an indie dev like Pirate Software has stated in the past, by lowering the cost of his game Heartbound in less wealthy countries, the amount of piracy absolutely plummeted. It's not that players wanted to pirate the game. They just wanted a fair price. That's all we really want, is just a fair price. Because many of us remember how hard gaming was when we were broke. It was November of 2007, and I was 7. November had always been a big month for my family. We had my dad's birthday, my mom's birthday, Thanksgiving, and my birthday. 2007 was a period of time when my family was broke. My dad would work 2 jobs and my mom had a very small house cleaning business. But she always loved to spoil us for our birthdays if possible, and that included my dad. My dad, of course, wanted a PlayStation 5, but it was extremely expensive for the time, especially when you compared it to the Xbox 360. Plus, we had already acquired an Xbox 360. It would be completely frivolous to get yet another console. Here's the thing. The first mistake my dad ever made was admitting he wanted one in the first place to my mom. My mom is a different beast. If she was in the right mood and knew how badly you wanted something, she was gonna do everything in her power to get you what you wanted. So, it's my dad's birthday, and honestly, I was 7, so my memory is just such a blur, but I clearly remember one thing: the shock on my dad's face as he opened a PS3 with Heavenly Sword included inside. This is actually the exact big boy PS3 that my dad got for his birthday. And yeah, it's broken, that's why the top's off, and there's gonna be many hours I need to spend trying to fix this bad boy. But back to the story. You already know my 7-year-old butt was doing backflips over this PS3. That night, I would have my jaw dropped by the insane graphics and the insane storytelling and the absurd motion control arrow portion of Heavenly Sword. Yes, I know, it was a gimmick, but 7-year-old me saw the future. The PS3 was a hit, to say the least, but we needed more games. This would be difficult, as my mom had just somehow bought an extremely expensive console already. But the next night, we went to GameStop. For now, we were here looking for the biggest bang for our buck, so we dove headfirst into the pre-owned PS2 games. I don't really remember how many games we got or which games we got. All I remember is in that haul, God of War 1 made it home with us. God of War would go on to become one of the most important series that I've ever played. And since then, I've played every single God of War from PS2 to PSP to PS5. I only had the opportunity to play God of War because there was a cheap enough option for my family. There are so many series like God of War that I never would have grown a connection to if there wasn't a cheap option to initially get me in. Without the opportunity for cheap access to games as a kid, my love for gaming in general wouldn't have made it to the point of this YouTube channel. Without cheap gaming options, who knows? Maybe gaming wouldn't be a passion for me at all, but instead just a small hobby which I play a select few games within. So while these companies use our love and nostalgia for gaming against us, making our beloved series $80, possibly more, all that happens is the audience you already have will become more picky. And the new audience that you're trying to capture and turn into a loyal fan base that will hopefully buy future games with nostalgia-blinded eyes won't exist. The price will be too high to jump into these games. This new audience will stick with their beloved franchises or look for cheaper options instead of giving something expensive and new a try. Raising the prices this much only shrinks the gaming community and at its worst encourages piracy. This is the whole reason why Fortnite and Roblox respectively are so popular among my generation, Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They're among the few games that are free to play, yet you don't need to buy a single thing to genuinely have a lot of fun. Blasting Kamehamehas, talking with Darth Vader, and even playing countless different modes. It's very impressive, but can we really say that all free-to-play games are strictly designed to be fun, fair, and memorable? We know games like Call of Duty consistently switch the gun meta just to keep players in this rat race to grind for the most powerful gun. Games like Valorant and Marvel Rivals put a huge emphasis on ranked play and esports, almost weaponizing the sense of progression, which can create a fan base that starts to forget the whole reason why they're playing the game in the first place, which is just enjoyment. While a game like Fortnite may be one of the most robust and fair free-to-play games, Fortnite still uses FOMO to extract your money with limited time battle passes, limited time events, and daily store refreshes. And don't even get me started on gacha games. The race to obtain money can start to make games feel like they're losing their identity, becoming disingenuous. This is how you get King Kong in Black Ops and literally everything in Fortnite. This isn't inherently a bad thing. I personally love the chaotic mix of Goku grittying with Darth Vader. While it may push other people away, like my friend Armand, who feels that Fortnite's identity is just lost in the sauce. It's at its worst when the collaborations start to feel disingenuous, like Attack on Titan characters in Call of Duty. There is a difference between something being cool and something actually making sense. What I'm trying to say is that so many aspects of free-to-play games are a double-edged sword. These are some of the most fun and easily accessible experiences in gaming, but they also try to subtly manipulate your mind to spending more money over time than you probably would have with a full price $60 game. Even with all these negatives tied to free-to-play games, with the prices going up more than ever before, I'm afraid that these games are extremely important to the broke younger generation. The younger generations are the eventual foundation for the gaming industry. If you're in your 40s or 50s, you still probably game to this day because of your experiences as a kid or a teen. With Tetris or Super Mario Bros. 3, maybe the original Doom, or even in the arcade. Those experiences make people open to video games for the rest of their lives. While gaming may still become less of a priority as you get older, given the right game, you will be totally willing to give it a try. Especially if it connects to a series or a console that you have a strong emotional connection to. Familiarity and nostalgia are extremely strong emotions. I do believe companies understand the power of nostalgia, which is why they believe they can charge so much for something like Mario Kart 8. But if they keep raising the prices, I'm here to tell you that nostalgia won't be enough to keep fans around. And you won't get any new fans to help grow the franchise. Making someone a fan when they are young is extremely important. And you know what? I have someone to give you a good example why.
Luke and I grew up in very similar home situations. Hello everyone, for those who don't know me, my name is Mel and I am Luke's wife and also a gaming content creator on YouTube and Twitch, so if you're interested, go check out my streams and my YouTube videos. But let's get back to what we're talking about. We both grew up in Kent, Washington, which was and still is home to a very diverse population of families. There are families of all different cultures and ethnicities, and the majority of households there are lower to middle class. Another similarity between our families is that both of our parents had 3 kids by the time that they were in their early 20s. And both sets of parents worked their butts off to get to where they are today and to provide us with a childhood that was both memorable and fun, even though we struggled a lot financially. Until I was 8 and my mom gave birth to the twins, my parents had 3 kids. There was me, my older sister, and my younger brother, and we all loved video games. When the Nintendo DS Lite came out, they managed to buy one for each of us for Christmas, which was super exciting for us because up until that point, me and my younger brother would practically have to beg my older sister Drew to let us borrow her original DS to play with it. Now, we didn't have a lot of games for those DSs, but we did have Animal Crossing, and more importantly, Mario Kart. We put hours and hours into Mario Kart, playing each course over and over, competing with each other. Mario Kart and other multiplayer Nintendo games ended up becoming the lifeblood of our childhoods. My parents couldn't afford to buy us very many games for our DSs or our future Nintendo consoles, so they focused on buying us multiplayer games that we could play with each other over and over, which we didn't mind in the least bit. My parents never talked about money in front of us, so we didn't think we were poor. We were just so happy and thrilled to be playing video games with each other. To this day, I still don't know how my parents managed to buy the games and the consoles that they did for us, but I am forever grateful for it. Where my love for Mario Kart and gaming really took off, though, was at my dad's house. I have a different dad than the rest of my siblings, and so does my older sister. So on the weekends, I would go to my dad's house and she would go to hers. My dad didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, and at one point had cancer when I was a kid. So he lived with my grandparents for a long time, and I would say my grandparents were upper middle class. And I was a really lucky kid because I had a grandma who loved to spoil me on birthdays and Christmases, as gift giving is definitely her love language. She got me my own Wii for Christmas after it had come out, and she also got me the Wii U for my birthday after it had been released. Playing games at my dad's house was really special for me because I feel like I could escape into my own little world. Until I was 14, I was an only child at my dad's house, and I would spend hours and hours playing Mario Kart Wii and eventually Mario Kart 8. And I remember those moments of solitude and fun so vividly. My Saturday ritual as a young teenager and through high school was waking up on Saturday at 7 in the morning before everyone else, going downstairs and sitting on the soft blue couches that reminded me of my grandpa who had since passed, and playing Mario Kart 8 and Mario 3D Land handheld on the Wii U, while my cat Mimi, aka Memers, yes, we call her Memers, played on my lap, which she almost never did, but it's like she knew that this moment in time was special and that this was her Saturday morning ritual too. All of these moments and many more built up my love for gaming when I was a kid. Playing Call of Duty Ghosts and Minecraft with my dad, playing games on the DS, the Wii, the Wii U, and the Switch with my siblings, and eventually playing tons and tons of games with my husband Luke. But none of this would have happened if my parents couldn't make ends meet and afford the consoles and their games. I have a full-time job as a mechanical engineer now. I'm in my mid-20s and I understand just how expensive life is. And it makes me devastated to think about all of the kids now who are in the same position that me and Luke were as kids, who won't get the same enjoyment and fun experience that we did just because their parents genuinely cannot afford it and were priced out of the market. I bought a Switch 2 and Mario Kart instantly for midnight release because of the love I had built up for Mario Kart and Nintendo IPs as a child. Consoles and games do sell largely because of nostalgia and the loyalty companies have built up in their consumers from when they were young children and could play video games. So what happens in 10, 15 years from now when all of the kids who are priced out of the Switch 2, Xboxes, and PS5s grow up and have their own jobs and their own money? Well, a good amount of them sure as hell aren't going to buy a console or a game that they never built up love for in the first place because guess what? They're already expensive, so why would they buy them? Gaming accessibility for all financial classes is so important. And not just because it boosts sales later down the line in future generations to come, but because it can genuinely reshape the way someone looks back at their childhood like it did for me and Luke.
All of this makes me think of Donkey Kong. Over the last couple of years, I've realized how much I absolutely love Donkey Kong. When playing Smash Bros. Melee, I would exclusively use Donkey Kong. I had no one to play Smash with, so I would just race over and over to see how fast I could get to Master Hand with Donkey Kong. The reason why I have such a dedication to Donkey Kong is because of Donkey Kong Tropical Beat. I was the perfect age to enjoy smashing the Donkey Kong bongo controller. I would wake up nice and early, around 7 a.m. on a weekend, and absolutely slam those bongos, waking up everyone in the house. I only had like 6 games for the whole lifespan of the GameCube, so I spent a lot of time with Donkey Kong and my boy Luigi in Luigi's Mansion. Tropical Beat hit at the right time, at the right place. So with all this nostalgia built up, I was sad to see that Donkey Kong Bonanza was going to be $70. And I'm still going to buy it. Just like how Mel knew that basically no matter what, she was getting Mario Kart because of nostalgia and love of the game. Donkey Kong Bonanza is also a must for me because of nostalgia and love of the game. So boom, Nintendo won. They squeezed $10 more out of me and $20 more out of Mel. But trust me, long term, this is a loss for them. During the pandemic, I bought Animal Crossing because my wifey Mel loves the series and it was just something to do together. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say it ranked high in games that I prefer to play. But in the future, at $60, I would consider getting a new Animal Crossing if Mel wanted me to buy it to play with her again. But at $70 or $80, no. No. I'm sorry, you're not convincing either of us to want to buy 2 copies at $80. We go from spending $120 for 2 Animal Crossing New Leafs to $160 for a potential future Animal Crossing game. $120 was already a lot of money, but $160 is absurd. So it's been all doom and gloom complaining this whole video, I get it. What other options do we have to keep gaming accessible? Well, it's time to bring up the supposed best deal in gaming, Game Pass. At first glance, it is an amazing deal. For just $20, you get access to hundreds of games on PC and Xbox. On top of that, you get new Xbox releases like Doom: The Dark Ages Day 1, and third-party games like Expedition 33 Day 1 also. It's honestly fantastic and an excellent deal at times, especially when there are multiple good games releasing at the same time. Then they added in most of the Xbox back catalog. I can play all the Gears, all the Fables, all the Halos, just a bunch of classic games that are timeless fun, with some of these games getting upscaled. A good example of this is Fusion Frenzy, which growing up was a staple for me and Mel despite the jank gameplay. That's how it works. The deeper you get into the Game Pass lake, the harder it is to get out. You buy less and less games, so you depend on the service more and more. Once you're fully dependent, that's when the price gouging begins. Why do you think Xbox is increasing the price of their games to $80? It's because it makes Game Pass look like that much more of a deal. Then when everybody's used Game Pass to dodge the $80 price tag, they will raise the price. Mark my words. This is the you'll own nothing and be happy mentality. Just look at streaming services. Netflix and HBO had insane value propositions during the beginning of the streaming age. But now there are so many streaming services that continually upcharge you, creating more and more convoluted plans to popcorn price you into the most expensive bundle. I know so many people have already said it, but it's true. Streaming is basically just cable now. Game Pass already has multiple packages of Game Pass, with each cheaper version getting significantly worse. And it's not just Xbox. Nintendo charges you for their monthly online subscription, but if you want to play those old Nintendo games through NSO, you'll need to purchase the expansion pass. The same goes for PlayStation. Multiple tiers of PlayStation Plus to gain access to their back catalog and a small selection of curated games. If you bought a yearly subscription to all of these services, you would be $400 down the hole. That's 6.5 games you could own for $60. And if you're utilizing sales, probably more like 10 to 12 games. Do you even have enough time to beat 10 to 12 games in a year? Because if you don't, why do you need access to hundreds of different random games that you don't own on Game Pass? Now, I will say, at this very moment, things can always change. Yes, most of these services, especially Game Pass, are a fantastic value. These services are yet again another double-edged sword. Don't feel bad if you need to use them to play the variety of games that you want to play. Enjoy that. But also, don't get blindsided when the prices continue to rise and the best deal in gaming starts to feel like a prison. Now that I've covered rising prices, gaming subscriptions, and free-to-play games, there is one last option, and this one has no downsides. Indie games. Some of these games hold within them the best experiences in all of gaming, and many of them cost just a fraction of the price of an $80 game. Many of these games innovating genres, adding a fresh spice to something that you may have already experienced. These teams are not shackled to horrible publishers, allowing for them to push for something artistic, creative, and most importantly, fun. That's what many of these indie devs understand, that games are art, games are experiences, and games create memories. I want to be a part of supporting that. But to so many publishers, games are just a product. Nothing more, nothing less. So if that's how they view games, the idea of voting with your wallet may be more important now than ever before.
And did you know that indie games are a fantastic way to diversify your catalog? Maybe you're someone who's always wanted to try out a horror game but don't want to spend a bunch of money on the newest Resident Evil or Silent Hill when you don't even know if you're gonna like that kind of game in the first place. Well, fear not, because there are a ton of indie horror games that you can try out to see if that gaming genre is for you. And the same thing goes for any video game genre, really. Oftentimes, I think people associate the term indie game with cozy games, aka games that are slower, task-heavy, and colorful. And maybe cozy games aren't your cup of tea, or maybe they are. They're definitely not mine. Sorry, cozy games. But there are loads and loads of indie titles for every video game genre out there. There are racing games, first-person shooters, third-person shooters, top-down shooters, RPGs, turn-based RPGs, horror games, puzzle games, you name it, there's something there. So go save some money when discovering new gaming genres that you enjoy playing. Find what type of video games feel good for you. And while doing that, you're supporting indie developers who are in it for the love of the game. And while you're at it, there is a small indie channel called Locked in Luke that you could drop a like and sub to if you are so inclined.
Thank you guys for watching. And if you need a buddy to lend you an ear while you lament about the prices of gaming, I would suggest going to the Discord or even checking out my Twitch channel. See you guys.